Today I am going to repair my broken Chicago electric tumbler. This is a problem that these are notorious for. They don't really have actual bearings. They just have these little plastic protectors here. And over time, what happens is it wears out like this. And it can actually get locked in there and seized up. My first one, I didn't catch it in time. It burned my motor out. The second one, I heard it making strange noises. I went down there and shut it off and caught it before it burned the motor out. So I still have a good motor on this one, but I couldn't find a good way to fix it. And I also couldn't find a good way to build my own rock tumbler with this tiny motor. So it just sat down in my basement for a long time. I did buy a new Chicago electric tumbler because they're cheap. I bought the extended warranty on that one. Then I ended up not using it anymore because I built my own rock tumbler, and that's on another video. But then in the meantime, they came out with this. A kit specifically designed to repair the Harbor Freight Chicago electric dual drum rock tumbler bearing problem. Because these are so notorious for this problem that this company actually came out with a kit to fix it. The kit comes with 4 of these little bearings that are screwed on to the tumbler. It comes with gaskets and screws for each side, some little oil, and it comes with some excellent instructions. Now this one also shows how to replace the bearings on the motor side. I'm not going to do that. I'm only going to replace the bearing in the spot where it's bad because I have other Chicago electric tumbler and I may need to use a bearing on that. May be a bad idea to only do it that way, but that's what I am electing to do. Step 1, remove the cover. I removed that a long time ago, and so it's not going to have a cover. It's going to be up on a shelf far away from children down in my basement. I'm not worried about it. Step 2, remove the bottom cover. I'm not taking the motor out. I don't think I need to remove that. Step 3 is to remove these little covers. I'm only replacing this side. That cover has been removed. Step 4, remove the drive belt. Remove these 4 screws to remove the motor. Once again, I'm not removing the motor, but by the way, if you were not aware that you can adjust the tightness of your belt, you can do that with these screws right here that are attached to the motor. Remove the pulley with this little screw right here. You don't need to take the screw all the way off. Just loosen it up enough so that you can slide the pulley off. The next step is to remove the snap rings. If you're still watching this, it's because you're either bored or because you don't have a snap ring tool and you need to know how to get the snap rings off. You can take a screwdriver and pry one edge of it up, or these ones are very tight, so I'm going to grab 2 needle nose pliers, lift one edge up until you get it out of that groove, and then once one edge is out of the groove, you should be able to pull it the rest of the way off. These ones are tight, but there you go. Now it did bend, as you can see, it bent. I'm going to leave it bent like that because I've got to put this back on, and that bend in there is going to help me get it back on later. I'm not going to remove this side because I am not going to put the bearings on that side. There's also a snap ring on the other side of the pulley side that needs to come off. And I will take this snap ring off right here, even though I didn't remove the motor. I'm going to take this snap ring off, and that's so that I can use this little spacer tool to get it located in the right spot. The snap rings actually came off easier on this side, believe it or not. Now you have to take this little plastic, I don't know what the plastic fake bearing thing out of there in order to use the spacer tool, and then you're going to put the spacer tool into the hole the existing hole, and that will help you space it for the other side. And I actually suspected that the hole was supposed to be down here. It's kind of odd. When I put the spacer tool in there, it puts it up here. So that's where I'm going to drill my holes, and that's where I'm going to put my bearing. I see that it's not screws, it's just a bolt, but it has no nut. So I don't want to drill my holes too big. I want to drill them smaller so that it will grip into place. I had to put my drill bit in the drill really deep in order to get it to fit in here. The bolt that they provided is larger than the pre-drilled hole. It won't go in there. This is the second time this month that I have bought a repair kit for something, and the hole was too small. So I will be leaving them a review about that. In the meantime, I will drill that hole out larger so that I can get the bolt in. So they want this bearing thing to go this way, with this towards the tumbler. I guess that makes sense because the bearing cannot slide out going this way, but it can pop out going this way. So if we have that end up against the wall of the tumbler, makes sense that it would be locked into place. And then they want you to screw it from this side. So I've got to run to the shop and get my short screwdriver. That ended up being a pain in the... Okay, so I gave up with trying to put the screws through here. Even with the stubbiest screwdriver I own, I couldn't get them in there. I got tired of fighting with them. And the fact that these holes in here weren't the right size was irritating me too. So I went from this side down. I used different screws that were a little bit narrower. It's tight. I'm sure the reason they want you to put them on this side is so that your barrel doesn't rub on those bolts there. I'm just going to take my chances with it. I'm going with it like that, and we'll see what happens. I'm happy to report that it does not rub on the head of the bolts. I have been running this off and on for about 6 months since I did the repairs. It seems to be working fine. However, I was burning through belts now, which I never had before. I know a lot of people complain about going through belts with their Chicago electric tumblers, but that was not a problem that I was having until I repaired it. However, I did then notice that I had this pulley pushed in further, and the belt was going at an angle towards the motor, which I believe was my problem. After loosening it up and straightening it out, I seem to have solved that problem. So if you are going through belts, I suggest you check the alignment of the belt with the pulley and see if the pulley needs to be loosened up and moved in or out so that it lines up better, and maybe that will solve your belt problem. Thanks for watching.